I was only 20 years old when I first had suicidal thoughts. At this age, I was deployed to a foreign country, thousands of miles away from my family and my friends. I had never felt so alone. I had never felt so hopeless. I had to hide behind my armor and my uniform, but inside, I could not help my feelings from taking over. I was someone who at some point was at risk for a mental illness. I'm terrified to come forward with such a topic. It carries so much stigma. I have lived with several people dealing with anxiety and depression. I'm not afraid of being judged for bringing this subject to light, but I'm afraid of being isolated. When I was at risk, I was afraid of being blamed for things I had no real control over, things that would happen on their own. I know that what it's like to be looked down upon for an issue so normal, yet so hardly talked about. When I was at risk, in my exterior, I was a regular guy in his early 20s. I liked playing video games, joking with my friends, lifting weights, hanging out. Not once did I come out to someone saying that I was hyper-vigilant and stressed about my environment. I like to believe that we all act differently depending on who's keeping you company. It is when we are alone that we reveal to ourselves who we really are. We are limited to our perception by our own accord. We set the limits based on the society we live in, and we all just want to fit in. Today I would like to persuade you to remove the stigma that mental health and mental illnesses carry. By speaking out on this subject, I hope to give you more insight on the topic. Maybe you'll realize it is okay to accept the challenges you or a loved one is facing, and you'll get them or yourself the proper care. Let's explore how mental health illnesses really are. Mental illnesses are very common in the United States. The National Institute of Mental Health and the National Survey on Drug Use and Health defines any mental illness as a mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder. It can be diagnosable currently or within the past year. It can range in impact from no or mild impairment to significant disabling impairment. The illnesses are not exclusively part of one disorder or the other. This information excluded drug and alcohol-related disorders. The disorders ranged greatly. They included anxiety disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder or OCD, panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, social phobias, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD, the autism spectrum, mood disorders, depression, amongst others. The survey estimated that 43.4 million adults 18 or older in the United States suffer from a mental health illness. That is 43.4 million adults, ranging from 18 and older. Mental health illnesses are prevalent on 17.9% of all U.S. adults. Out of all U.S. females 18 and older, 21% are affected by mental illnesses, while 14% of all males are affected as well. The highest affected group ranged from 18 to 25, which was 21%, and 26 through 49, which is 29%. Of the individuals who identified as one race or ethnicity, whites were more prevalent with 19%, followed by blacks 15%, Hispanics 14%, and Asians 12%. One of the illnesses, depression, is the leading cause of disability worldwide. The National Alliance on Mental Illness reports illnesses and disorders every year. 1 in 5 adults in America experience a mental illness. Potentially someone you know personally deals with an underlying mental health issue. 60% of all adults with a mental health issue did not receive mental health services last year. Suicide is currently the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Out of those deaths, 90% of them had an underlying mental illness. Now that you understand that mental disorders are prevalent in the United States, let's explore the problem on why mental health carries a stigma among college students and its current effects. Increased stigmatic views occur during your college years. An examination on stigmatic views of mental health counseling was conducted by Donna Holland. This was for the Michigan Sociological Review. It measured levels of stigmatic associations on mental health and illnesses. The examination noted that the stigma among college students was associated with a stereotype that dealing with a mental illness is imperfect. It carries negative associations. The media is a main culprit, as many students use this reporting to inform them. The media reports only negative aspects of mental illnesses, such as criminality, drug and alcohol use, as well as addiction. This increased association with mental health or illnesses can lead to decreased willingness to seek help. In the same study, the associations alarmed the sufferer of a mental illness to want to carry a label of being mentally ill. Perception of diminished social and academic achievements takes place. As these views grow, it affected the perceived willingness for students to use counseling services. Now that you have seen the stigma of mental illness and how it grows, we can look at several organizations who are taking a stand to remove this stigma and provide the proper resources to those who suffer from mental disorders. There are countless organizations willing to show your support, services, and treatment options. Such organizations are the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They support different types of illnesses. This organization advises you to watch for early signs of behavioral and mood changes. If you seek emergency help, you should call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Their number is 1-800-273-8255. The organization says if you can wait a few days, it advises to make an appointment with a specialized doctor, such as a psychiatrist. If the person you know or you are a college student, you can contact your local school for campus support services offered. The National Alliance on Mental Illness has started the Stigma-Free campaign in an effort to end the stigma. This campaign is making an effort to create hope for those affected. Through words and actions, it hopes to shift social and systemic barriers. Through this campaign, they hope to encourage acceptance and understanding. Although these organizations are helping to fight the stigma, it all really starts with you. Ask your friend if he or she is doing all right. Have the courage to ask. Care for your friend if he or she speaks about their illnesses. Actively listen and show understanding to produce relief. If he or she talks about suicide, don't leave their side. Escort them to a behavioral health professional. If an emergency occurs, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It is time for us to speak out. It is time for us as a society to stop this stigma. It is time for us to speak out. The more we speak of it, the more normative it becomes in our society. It is time to face the fact that mental health issues and illnesses should receive the same type of urgent care that physical diseases receive. Mental illnesses are a real injury that we fight from within. It's time to start treating it like so. We have seen the prevalence of mental health issues and illnesses among adults in the United States. This issue affects millions of Americans every year, yet society does not speak of it like they do cancer and other diseases. We have seen what the stigma does in adults, especially in college students. It will make them weary of seeking help for others, let alone themselves. There are organizations in place seeking to end the stigma and provide services nationwide. Seeking the right help can save a life. It has been extremely difficult advocating for mental health illnesses, but in this extreme challenge I feel so achieved. In the words of Henry David Thoreau, not until we are lost do we begin to understand ourselves. Always remember that we are bigger than the problems we face.